Alright, so since last time I built up this entire system for the EBF, this is basically automated oxygen. So the way I'm doing that is I bought this steel crate over here with calcite, all these calcite rocks or whatever. I'm routing that down through the item line into this macerator. This macerator macerates the calcite down into calcite dust. We send it over here through another item import line in the back, and I need to separate this. Yeah, we send it over into the macerator, calcite dust into the macerator. The macerator macerates the calcite dust down into carbon dioxide and sends it over here to this secondary chemical reactor. Now we got water pumping in from an aqueous accumulator into this chemical reactor, whatever. That mixes with the carbon dioxide, and that mixes formic acid and oxygen. So I send the formic acid over here into the super chest. The super chest holds 4 million buckets of liquid or whatever gas counts as a liquid. So there's 232 buckets in here right now, and then the oxygen gets pumped out through the fluid line into this fluid cell from thermal expansion or whatever. All these fluid cells are basically daisy chained together, so it pulls it out from back there, then sends it up, sends it up, sends it up and around. And this one right here and then this one right there are connected to LV input hatches, which inputs liquids into the multi-block machine or whatever. So there's 16 buckets in here, and there's 16 buckets in there, and then all of these fluid cells get backed up with oxygen. So this is basically like a visual indicator of how much oxygen I have in the system. Each one of these fluid cells holds 32 buckets. So I have 6 filled fluid cells, and then this one right here is 19 buckets. And this basically automates the entire oxygen process or whatever, because you need oxygen to pump into the EBFs to mix with the iron so you can make steel. And this entire setup is gonna produce steel a lot faster. I haven't turned on the EBF and ran it yet. I've just been trying to back up these fluid cells with oxygen for the most part. This right here is just a secondary utility fluid cell for the formic acid or whatever. If anything is backed up, I could just pull it out with this, because you can import and export any fluid or whatever, you know what I'm saying, with these buttons right here. And then these control the different sides that you can import and output from. Yeah, input and output from. Up here I redesigned this entire little flower that I had, this battery flower that I had. I redesigned it. I was using 5 redstone flux cells in the beginning for both of these, in between both of these right here. But now I have 14 on each one. You know what I'm saying? So each side of this is 3, 3, 3 on the other side, 3 at the bottom, 1 in the middle that's connecting all 4 of these sides, and then 1 over here. And let all of those fill up. That's 14 over here. That equals 14 million, because each one of these redstone flux cells could hold 1 million FE. So this is 14 million FE. Over here is 14 million FE. Combine those together as 28 million FE. And all of those are feeding into these energy converters. So FE to EU is 4 to 1. So for every four FE units, it's gonna equal 1 EU. So you have to divide 28 million by 4, and that goes down to 7 million EU that I have in the entire system. That's all feeding into these energy converters. I did have an issue with my machine still struggling to run, even though I have all of this power backed up. And I think the issue has to do with these 1 amp energy converters. I need to switch this out to higher energy converter, like 16 amps or maybe 8 amps. Because the one thing that I didn't account for, there's always an oversight whenever you make automated systems. The one thing I didn't account for was the fact that power basically loses power over distance, which is just about equal to real life. It simulates real life. So 1 amp, by the time it gets all the way down here to these machines, it's like a fraction of an amp. 1 amp is 32 LV, and I need 32 LV, 30 LV to run these 2 different machines right here. So I need a higher amperage to be sent through the wires in order to power these consistently, so these machines don't back up or stop producing. Currently, the way the system is set up right now, The macerated works no problem, but by the time the it gets to the chemical reactor, it stops working properly, and that's because I'm losing power basically. So that was another little lesson or whatever to learn about Greg Tech and its nuances or whatever. Anyway, that's this setup right here. The secondary project that I ended up working on was this entire thing right here. This is like a side project, a spin-off project or whatever. And just got distracted or whatever. I was working on this and I got distracted and I kept saying to myself that it's irritating to keep taking damage, fall damage, uh, anytime I turn off my jet boots. If I'm not too close to the ground, I fall, a couple of blocks out of the sky. So I wanted to put feather falling on my boots. Um, a quick little story or whatever. EMI like is a mod, which is the recipe viewer. EMI only really works properly when you have it on top of layered on top of JEI, which is the original mod. Um, these jet boots have upgrade augments, like upgrade augments or whatever that you can add to them, so you have no fall damage and everything like that. I seen it in JEI, but it wasn't craftable, so I was thinking that you could get it from like a dungeon chest or something like that. Um, Now that I have EMI on, it doesn't nothing pops up for this except for all the different enchanted books that you could add to it. So my only other option right now is to add feather falling 4, and I can't really get any villagers in here unless I go through the entire process of building up a mob farm and getting zombie villages and all of that and everything else and converting them over and all of that. I don't have the infrastructure for that because I have no mob farm. So my best option is to auto fish. So I have two different machines up here for it. One's the basic fisher from Greg Tech, and down at the bottom I have an aquatic entangler from thermal expansion. Both of these are auto fishers. I'm basically testing both out. I never really used the aquatic entangler before or this before. So that's what I made this tank for. They need 5 by 5 by 4 area of water, and that's what this entire thing is. This is 3 right here, and then this whole wood level right here that equals 4. And the water itself has to be water source blocks, not flowing water. That's the reason why I needed a hose pulley. The hose pulley from Create can lower a hose into an area, and if you pump water into it or any fluid into it, it'll fill up the area with source blocks. So this filled up the area with water source blocks. That's what this entire little contraption is right here that I made to do this. I could have done it easier with aqueous accumulated from thermal expansion, but I didn't have enough resources. Well, I have enough resources to make another. I just didn't feel like taking a trip all the way down to the other end of the base to make another one. So I just created this entire little small create setup or whatever to pump water into this hose pulley, and that filled up this entire little tank area. I haven't ripped it down because this is entirely temporary. I don't really need it because I plan on taking the water back out of here once I get the feather falling that I needed. I don't need it for anything else currently. Right now, I have this wired up to send all its items that it gets into this barrel. So far, it's only gotten fish. And right here's the string. You need to pump string into the basic fisher for it to operate properly. And down at the bottom, the aquatic entangler needs a junk net in order to get everything else. And it needs this aqua chow, whatever it's also to function. I haven't seen this actually work, so I need to look up what I'm doing wrong with the setup. Right now it's submerged in water, so there's 5 by 5 around it, 5 by 5 by 2. It can't be directly connected to the basic fisher underneath, otherwise the basic fisher would stop working. That's the reason why I had to drop it down, but this is actually not working at all, so I gotta go and look at what I'm doing incorrectly about that. You know what I'm saying? Probably gotta raise it up a couple of blocks or whatever. But yeah, that's it down here. Still haven't wired this up yet. I need this to get quartz IGOs to start apply the logistics and all that. I haven't gotten around to it yet. I went and got all of these different basic machines or whatever for this right here, this controller block for a void extractor. The void extractor is so I can get a rock called soda light. This is the actual multi-block. This is what it looks like. It's not really huge. I have mostly all of these parts or whatever, but I'm probably gonna need a couple void extractors. I'm gonna need a couple besides just one. One is not gonna be fast enough to get all the resources that I need because right here, this is the block. This is the rock that I need. I only have a 30% chance to get it. So all of the other three machines is to make drilling fluid. So I have to run creosote through a distillery, and then I have to mix it. And at some point in there, I needed a macerator. I have to look at the recipes again. But all of this is gonna make drilling fluid to send into the void extractor, and that's gonna give me the soda light. So I need to have a couple of them to run them, because I don't have a 100% chance to actually get that soda light. But the soda light I have to macerate. That's what it was. And I don't see it in here. Actually, I have to cook that up. Wasn't even looking at that. All right. Anyway, this turns into aluminum at some point. I have to look through the recipes again, but that's gonna be my source of alumina. Aluminum is a base component, very important rock or whatever to get aluminum. Aluminum is what I need to get the MV to the. That's the next technological tier. Right now I'm in LV, which is low voltage. MV is medium voltage. So I need to get there to make better machines and everything else, and progress further in Greg Tech and all that. So that's where I'm on my way to. And once I get the MV, that's gonna be my second time actually getting the MV, and I have a better setup this time, this go around, to actually get through MV and everything else, because I understand a little bit more about Greg Tech. The first time I played it back in 1710, I couldn't find ores because I didn't know how you find ores, and there wasn't a lot of documentation back in the 1710 days. Next time I ended up playing it was GT&H, the original on 117. Same kind of issue. I stopped playing that pack actually because I realized that you need to be on a server because you need an AFK for long periods of time, especially with GT&H, because it's a lot slower than traditional Greg Tech, but it's a lot more powerful, a lot more complex. And next time I played Greg Tech was like around, I say like 110, between 110 and 115, and I just came back to it and start technology. Now I have a better understanding, of applied energistics, uh, because you're gonna need applied energistics. It's almost mandatory. You need a batch craft in Greg Tech, and applied energistics is almost mandatory for Greg Tech. So I have a better understanding of everything, better knowledge of everything, and that's really it. So I'm on my way to MV basically.